What if the eyes could remember a life they've already lived? What if science meets something it can't explain, the soul itself? This isn't just a story. It's a journey that will challenge everything you believe about love, memory, and rebirth. The story opens with a scientist sitting in front of his computer, deeply focused as he scrolls through countless images of eyes. His name is Michael, and he has dedicated his entire life to researching the human eye. From this moment, Michael begins to share his journey with us. The narrative shifts into a flashback, taking us to the time when Michael was a PhD student in college, passionately studying the intricacies of the eye. One evening, he attends a party, a unique kind of gathering where everyone wears masks to conceal their faces. But Michael finds himself uninterested and drifts away from the crowd, heading up to the terrace. There, he encounters a girl already standing alone, gazing at the moon. She's wearing a mask as well, and she's come up just to admire the moon, which tonight looks especially breathtaking. Michael notices her eyes. Something about them captivates him. He gently asks if he can take a photo of her eyes. She responds warmly, giving him permission. Michael captures the photo, and after that, the two head back down to the party together. Later, when Michael returns home, he finds himself staring at the photo of her eyes, the girl he met at the party, whose name he still doesn't know. The next day, while on his way to the lab, he suddenly gets off the bus midway. Something catches his attention, a large advertisement board, displaying the same mesmerizing eyes he saw the night before. It's her. The realization hits him. She's a model, and her name is Sophie. Curious, Michael searches for her online. For the first time, he sees her full face. That evening, while heading home, he notices Sophie sitting across from him on the train. He walks over and tries to start conversation, but she doesn't respond much. When she gets off the train, Michael follows her. Eventually, they end up sitting together at a cozy coffee house. Sophie opens up, sharing that she's originally from Argentina, but moved to France when she was just 11. Michael tells her about his research, that he's a PhD student currently studying animal eyes. He explains how, throughout his career, he has closely observed the eyes of countless animals and hundreds of humans. But never, not once, has he seen eyes as beautiful as hers. That's why he took that photo of her eyes that night. As time passes, Michael and Sophie grow closer. Their bond deepens into a warm friendship, and soon they begin spending more time together, exploring the world around them. One day, while out on a walk, they come across a white peacock. Sophie's eyes light up as she shares something meaningful with Michael. She tells him that in India, the white peacock is considered a symbol of the soul. Wherever this majestic bird appears, it's believed that spirits are nearby. But Michael, being a scientist and a PhD student, doesn't buy into these spiritual ideas. His world is built on logic and evidence. Sophie, on the other hand, holds a deep belief in such things, especially in the divine philosophies and deities of India. She even keeps a statue of Lord Ganesha at her home, a reflection of her faith. Despite their contrasting beliefs and perspectives, they genuinely care for each other. Their connection is strong enough that Michael eventually moves in with Sophie. One day, Michael looks into Sophie's eyes and asks her a heartfelt question, if she would marry him. Sophie smiles and says yes without hesitation. The next day, they head to the registrar's office to make it official. But when they arrive, they find the office closed. As they head back home, Michael receives a call from his lab assistant. She shares exciting news. The insect they've been researching, the one born without eyes, has finally developed vision. Michael is thrilled. He turns to Sophie and invites her to come see the breakthrough with him. Sophie agrees and joins Michael at the lab. There, they observe the insect that Michael has spent countless hours studying. But as Sophie watches, she feels uneasy. She tells Michael that what he's doing isn't right. Nature has its own design, its own balance. Interfering with that, trying to change what's naturally created, could be harmful not just to the creature, but to the entire ecosystem. Michael, however, doesn't agree. He begins explaining his scientific reasoning, the theories he's learned since childhood. He believes that everything in this world has evolved through cause and effect. Once a person dies, everything ends. In his view, there's no such thing as a soul. Just then, Sophie accidentally knocks over a bottle of acid, and a few drops splash into Michael's eyes. He cries out in pain. Thankfully, his lab assistant rushes in and applies medication to soothe the burning. Michael begins to feel relief, but now his eyes are covered with a blindfold. With the incident behind them, Michael and Sophie quietly leave the lab and head home together. While heading up to their apartment, Michael and Sophie step into the elevator. Suddenly, the elevator stalls and its doors shut on their own. Michael manages to pry the doors open and climbs out. He then tries to pull Sophie up with him, but just as he's helping her, the elevator shifts slightly downward. Sophie gets trapped between the floor and the elevator, and in that terrifying moment, tragedy strikes. She becomes stuck, and Michael is unable to pull her free. The accident claims her life. Michael is shattered. The loss hits him with unimaginable force. Instead of a burial, Sophie's body is cremated, just as she had once requested. She had told Michael that when her time came, she didn't want to be buried. She wanted her final rites to be performed in the same way they are in India, according to Hindu customs, through cremation. Michael honors her wish. But after Sophie's death, Michael spirals into a deep emotional collapse. Grief consumes him. The pain is so overwhelming that he begins to rely on substances to numb the sorrow. His world, once filled with curiosity and science, now feels empty without her. Few days later, Michael's lab assistant visits his home and shows him the insect they had successfully given sight to, the very creature that once had no eyes. As Michael looks at it, memories of Sophie flood his mind. He recalls her words, how she had warned him not to interfere with nature, not to tamper with the natural order of life. Her voice echoes in his heart, reminding him of the boundaries science should respect. The scene changes, and 7 years have passed. Michael is now a renowned figure in the scientific community, celebrated for his groundbreaking achievement, giving vision to a species that was never meant to see. In many ways, he has challenged the laws of nature, even defied what some might call divine design. And in doing so, he's earned global recognition. During this time, Michael has married his lab assistant, who is now a scientist in her own right. She's pregnant, and soon they welcome a baby boy into the world. At the hospital, the newborn undergoes an eye scan, a process similar to fingerprinting, but instead of fingers, it registers the unique patterns of the iris. Every human eye is distinct, and this scan helps create a digital identity. But something unexpected happens. When Michael's son's eyes are scanned, the system pulls up the name of another individual, Paul Edgar. Both Michael and the nurse are stunned. They assume it must be a technical glitch, a rare error in the system. Choosing not to dwell on it, they dismiss the incident and return home with their baby. Few months later, Michael receives a call from the hospital. The doctors request further testing for his son. Michael brings the child back, and the medical team places him in a room where he's shown a series of images. The first set includes 2 different dogs. The second shows a farm and a building. And in the third, there are 2 women, one of whom is an African woman. Upon seeing her, Michael's son begins to cry. No explanation is given. Michael is left confused, unable to make sense of what just happened. Once home, he searches online for Paul Edgar, the name that had appeared during his son's eye scan. He discovers that Paul Edgar once lived in Idaho. Driven by curiosity, Michael travels there. He walks into a local bar and asks if there's a dairy farm nearby. The bartender nods and tells him there's one close by. When Michael drives to the farm, he's stunned. It's the exact same farm that was shown in one of the photos during his son's hospital test. As he stops there, a young woman approaches. Michael gently asks if she knew Paul Edgar. She replies, "He was my father, but he's no longer with us." Michael is taken aback. Just then, he spots a dog, the same one his son had seen in the hospital image. Moments later, an elderly woman walks in. Michael recognizes her instantly. She's the woman whose photo had made his son cry. She turns out to be Paul Edgar's wife. Michael is overwhelmed. Everything feels surreal. He learns that Paul Edgar passed away around the same time. His own wife had conceived their son. For someone who has always believed in science, not in souls or divine connections, Michael finds himself lost in confusion. Seeking answers, Michael and his wife visit a fellow researcher named Kenny, who specializes in eye studies. Michael explains the strange incident. When his son's iris was scanned, the system pulled up Paul Edgar's identity. How is that even possible? Michael asks. My son's eyes and Paul's eyes are completely different. Kenny clarifies that iris scans don't rely on eye color. Instead, they analyze the texture and intricate patterns of the iris, details so unique that they can digitally identify a person for life. But even Kenny is puzzled. He's told about the experiment conducted on Michael's son, where the child was shown various photos, and how Michael later visited the exact locations and people from those images. Kenny reveals that the company managing the iris scan data has limited access. Only 5 people can view it. He's one of them. Another is the doctor who conducted the photo test on Michael's son. Kenny then hands Michael a new set of eye scans. Among them is one that stops Michael in his tracks, Sophie's eyes. When Sophie's iris pattern is scanned, the system matches it to a girl registered in Delhi, India. Michael and his wife are stunned. Sophie passed away 7 years ago, yet a girl with her exact iris pattern was registered in India around the same time. Michael's wife urges him to go to India, but Michael refuses. He says Sophie always had a deep love for Indian culture, and he doesn't want to revisit those memories. His wife gently insists. She believes that if this girl's eyes match Sophie's, maybe there's a deeper neurological connection, maybe even something spiritual. Michael gets upset. He doesn't believe in souls. But eventually, his wife convinces him to make the journey to India. Michael arrives in India, in a neighborhood called Okla in Delhi, the place where the iris scan had been registered. He meets a woman who had helped record the eye data. Michael shows her a photo and says he's looking for the girl whose eyes match the scan. She agrees to help and takes him to the girl's last known address. But when they get there, they learn that the girl is an orphan. Her parents passed away, and she has no permanent home. Michael feels lost. He has no idea how to find her. So he takes a bold step. He puts up a large billboard across the area, displaying the image of those eyes. The next day, something unexpected happens. A young girl stops and stares at one of the billboards. Michael watches her closely and instantly knows she's the one, the girl whose eyes match the scan. He approaches her and tries to speak in English, but she doesn't understand much. Michael gently brings her to his hotel, hoping to connect. There, he shows her several photos, moments from Sophie's life. In one image, there's an elephant, a peacock, and a turtle. The girl points to the peacock, just like Sophie always did. Then Michael shows her pictures of 3 different women. She chooses Sophie's photo. Though she doesn't get every answer right, 44% of her responses match perfectly. During this time, Michael is also on a video call with his wife. He tells her, "Our experiment is failing. None of this proves anything." Disheartened, he decides to take the girl back to her caretaker. But as they approach the elevator, the girl suddenly panics. She clutches Michael tightly and says she won't go inside. Michael looks in her eyes, and she looks back. In that moment, something shifts. It's as if they recognize each other, soulfully. Tears fill their eyes. Michael's scientific beliefs begin to crumble. He realizes something profound. The soul is real. Divinity exists. Everything Sophie believed in, the presence of souls, the power of faith, was true. This little girl is Sophie's reincarnation. Michael lifts her gently into his arms and walks down the stairs. As they step outside into the light, it symbolizes something greater, Michael's transformation. The man who once denied the existence of God now believes with all his heart. He understands that science, no matter how advanced, cannot explain everything. In the face of the divine, science stands humbled. He had been wrong all along. And Sophie, she had always been right. And so, Michael's journey, which began with science and skepticism, ends with something far more profound. In the search for answers, he found something he never expected, a glimpse into the soul. What started as a quest to understand the eye, the window to the body, led him to witness the mystery of the spirit. Sophie's presence, reborn in a child halfway across the world, reminded Michael that not everything can be measured, explained, or proven. Some truths live beyond logic, in emotion, in memory, in the quiet recognition between two souls. This story isn't just about science or reincarnation. It's about the invisible threads that connect us, across time, across lives. It's about how love, belief, and the soul can transcend even death. Because sometimes the eyes don't just see, they remember. If this story touched your heart and made you think beyond science, about love, memory, and the soul, then don't forget to support our channel. Your one like, one comment, and one share helps us bring more such meaningful stories to life. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that speaks to your soul. Thank you for watching and for believing in the magic that connects us all.